So let's take a look at this Beethoven. This is what I usually give to Theory 3 students, and they freak out because it looks so dense. There's so much chromaticism. Um, but really, this is so organized in how it's presented, and looking from big picture to small picture actually gives you a lot more idea about how this works and helps you to understand it in a fairly simple way. So I'd like to just talk through briefly this. This is the first 10 measures of this sonata. This is Beethoven's Sonata Opus 13, solo piano sonata. Sometimes it's called the Pathetique Sonata. That was not a name that Beethoven gave it. It's one of the best known Beethoven piano sonatas. It has this very dramatic introduction, and I'm not going to play it here because I don't have a full piano keyboard, but I really recommend you go and listen to it. I really like pianist Maurizio Pollini on this piece, and basically any piece. So if you can find him, that would be a good one. So I want to talk through this, and I'd like to zoom in and zoom out, pull out important details, and notice larger things that are happening. Okay. So as you listen to this, in fact, why don't you stop this video right now, and don't stop it yet. Go and listen to a recording of these first 10 measures. Okay, so stop the video, go and listen to the recording. All right, so hopefully you've listened to it. You heard it's very dramatic, definitely filled with pathos, deserving of the name Pathetique. So we start in the key of C minor, and this little gesture is motivic. I'm just going to put a bracket on it because that's sort of a motivic thing. Okay, and the motivic thing could actually possibly even be, that could be a subset of the motivic thing. This happens quite a bit. Do you see this C, D, E flat, D, C? And at this point, you're very familiar with what that is. That is a voice exchange here with passing notes, and it gives us perfect first species counterpoint between the outer voices. This piece ends up having quite a few of these voice exchanges. In fact, this ends up being a motive that's contrapuntal. So it's a contrapuntal motive rather than strictly a melodic motive, which is how people usually think of motives. So if we look through here, this goes from the 1 chord, comes through to the 5 chord. And then here, this G slides up to A flat, changing that 5 chord into 7, fully diminished 4-2. And we can see this 7 chord also takes part in the motivic voice exchange, in which A flat, G, F, F, G, A flat swap those voices through the passing notes. And again, here and here, this voice exchange is moving from one inversion of a chord to another inversion of the same chord. Same thing here. Okay, so then we get our return back to 1, and it's a 1-6. Now we get this chord right here, which is 7 diminished 4-2, a 5. And this one does the motivic voice exchange as well, taking us through to 5. That repeats, taking us through to 5. And now the 5, we get another chromatically altered chord, which is C7, which goes to F minor, which goes to a big whopping B flat. And this big whopping B flat resolves to a big whopping E flat. I'm going to take the notes up to this point, and I'm going to sketch them on my staff paper. Okay. And notice Beethoven tells you how to analyze this. He shows important notes in a lower register. Like you see here, there's a very low chord, and then there's all this mid-range stuff. And then we go down and hit this and this. And look, this just happens to look like a 5-1. This is a B flat 7 going to an E flat, so that's probably a significant point in the piece. Okay, so let's take this bass line of this first part. So we have C, E flat, D, C, F sharp, G. And then we get A flat. I'm not doing any repeated notes. G, F, E flat. Next line, E flat, D, C, B. I'm going to drop this down in the register. My cat is getting in here. Get out of here. E flat, D, C. Okay, now he's trying to pet himself on the camera. Sorry about that. To here, this is a repetition, so I don't need to rewrite it here. And now this B, we expected this to go up to C, but instead it goes down to B flat. Which goes to A flat. And then we get this big B flat right here, emphasized, and the big E flat right here. Okay. Okay, so if we look at what Beethoven has told us are the important notes here, this C, this B flat, and this E flat, I'm just going to put a stem on these. And you might wonder, well, how does this get us to one of the Beethoven background figures? Okay, so just file that away and we'll come back to it. Another thing that I think is important to notice is here at this spot where I'm saying, you know, the emphasis in the octave here, 5-1 and E flat. There's also a break in this chordal texture, and we have this very florid line sort of filling in and outlining a B flat 7 chord, really making this a really strong cadence taking us to E flat, which of course is the relative major of C minor. Okay, let's look at the second half. This time, let's see. Well, yeah, I'm just going to talk through this. So E flat, let's trace what happens in the bass line. E flat, D, C, B, and D, C buried in the inner voice. D, C, B, right here is B, C, D, voice exchange, right there. And then the B flat slides down to B natural. That's the same thing we saw here. And then B flat, we get B flat, we get A, G, F sharp. And against that, we don't get F sharp, G, A, do we? Okay, so the voice exchange pattern breaks right here. Similar, but it's not exactly a voice exchange pattern. Okay. But do you see how this F sharp is highly emphasized? We've got this register, this seems emphasized, but then this one is sort of the goal of all of this motion, this F sharp right here. And of course, an F sharp, you're going to expect to resolve to a G, and this fills in down to G. And we emphasize G, G. Here's F, G, G, and then it cuts off. Okay, this is a big half cadence right here, which sets up in measure 11 a C minor chord. I'm going to stop the video here. I'm going to say this is part 1. What I've done is given you this. If you want to get it on a screenshot, go for it. And then why don't, if you haven't done it already, why don't you look at from here to here, okay? And if you have done it already, compare what you have with what I've highlighted here and how you think I'm going to do it here, okay? So Maybe you're happy with your sketch. Maybe you would want to revise some of it based on the discussion so far. But that's all for this moment, and I will give you a few minutes and then I'll post the next section of this video.